Okay, we're going to start working on this question number 1 of these rectangles. What we're going to first do is deal with some of these first pieces. I should have written down that all 4 angles are right angles and diagonals are congruent. And so when I'm looking at this, I have the same properties of a parallelogram, meaning my opposite sides are congruent to each other. If PQ is 24, then SR is also 24. If PS is 10, then QR is also 10. So I can fill in those first 2 answers, 10 and 24. But my next 2 pieces that it's asking about is SQ and PR, essentially the lengths of my diagonals. I know that they're going to be the exact same thing because diagonals are congruent, but what we're going to now have to deal with is some right triangles. If I look at SQ here and the shape it makes with PSQ, that actually makes a right triangle. 10, 24, and I want to know what the S to Q is. This is SQP. It is this triangle section right here. I want to know what my diagonal is. Well, let's go ahead and remind ourselves real quickly about right triangles. Anytime I see a right angle, the side across from it is called my hypotenuse. That C is my hypotenuse, and I can use this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We have used it 1,000 times. We are going to do that same idea over here. Sorry, I got a little blurry. Over here with the 10 and 24. 10 and 24 are my legs, my A and B. So I'm going to set up an equation. Let me actually just kind of copy it over here. 10 and 24 are my legs, so I'm going to have 10 squared plus 24 squared equals c squared. I want to know what my hypotenuse is. This diagonal is my hypotenuse. So maybe even write yourself a note. Diagonals are my hypotenuse of a right triangle because this is a right angle up in that corner. So let's go ahead and solve this. 10 squared plus 24 squared equals c squared. Well, 10 times 10 is 100. And 24 times 24, again, it's not 24 times 2, it's 24 times 24, which is 576. And since they're on the same side of my equal sign, I'm going to add those together and get 676, and which I am going to then take the square root. We're going to use that square root button, which on your calculator, if you're using the one on your phone, we got to turn it to the side and click on this square root over here, that square root button. It says 24. The square root of 676 is 24. And so my answer for S to Q is actually, oh, whoops, I used the wrong number. I used 576. Sorry, 676. The square root of 676 is 26. My bad, 26. So 26 is my answer. My diagonal is 26. SQ is 26 and PR is also 26. They are both 26. This last blank right here is asking the distance of Q to T. Q to T. Well, that is just half my diagonal. If Q to S is 26, all I have to do is take 26 divided by 2. 26 divided by 2, which is 13, because that is half of my diagonal. And so then those are my answers for number 1. Let's look at number 2. Same idea here. However, it's starting off by giving us A to E is 15. And I know that my diagonals bisect each other. That's a parallelogram thing. My diagonals bisect each other. So if this is 15, that means this is also 15. And AC is really just 15 plus 15, or in other words, 30. My diagonal is 30. 30 is my diagonal. 30 is my diagonal, which would then mean that BD is also 30. My diagonals are the same, and B to E, if I were to cut that in half, B to E is also 15. What I don't know, oh here, AB is this side over here. Well, let's see if it gives me the congruent side. Yes, it does, 27. The piece that I don't know and I'm going to have a harder time with is this side, BC. Let's draw this out a little bit. BC is over here. AB is 27. And my diagonal right here is 30. So I know this leg is 27. My diagonal is 30. And I don't know what this side is. Remember, your diagonal is your hypotenuse. So let's set up an equation for this one. Again, using that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But this time my a and my b, I'm actually missing one of my legs. I don't know what a squared is. But I know my other leg is 27. And I know my hypotenuse is 30. And this is the equation I'm going to solve. Let's go ahead and simplify those first. Let's do, 27 times 27, which is 729. So I have a squared plus 729. And then 30 times 30 is 900. But since they're on opposite sides of the equal sign, I cannot add them together. Instead, I'm going to subtract 729. 900 minus 729 is 171. And so I'm going to take my square root of 171. I'm taking the square root of 171, which is 13.076. Let's round that to 13.08 is my A. And so your next two slides are going to be figuring out your answers for number 1 and number 2 down here.